Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Baltimore Blitz with your host, Big Scummy. I'm here with special guest, Mr. Tyrone. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there, all the troops and soldiers. We about to get to this business. We got a little throwback for y'all today. So, with that being said, let's get to it. How's everybody doing today on this good Memorial Day? I hope your Memorial Day is going good. I hope you ate a lot of hot dogs and hamburgers, whatever y'all eat out there. You enjoy. I know it's been rainy here in Baltimore, but we're gonna keep it pushing. I'm gonna start off with the Orioles. Orioles won yesterday against the Detroit Tigers. Cowser hit a walk-off home run to end the game, 3-run shot, and I'm really digging that because the Orioles were on a downward spiral.
Yeah, time is running out on them.
Yeah, right. They were definitely a downward spiral.
They got to get it together. They got to get it together.
And I hope they are getting it together. But I wanted to ask you one thing. What you think about Craig Albanese? You think he's on the hot seat?
Yeah, I think he's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
I don't know. The organization is not going to admit it. They're not going to admit it publicly. But yeah, let's face it. So far this year, and we're a little bit more than a third of the year beyond gone in this year's season. Mm-hmm. They really thought they had a better product than has been shown out there on the field, and I think they believe that they got the pieces, but somebody's got to take the blame.
Yeah, somebody got to take it. And I think it's going to be him.
And it might be him unless we see a dramatic turnaround. I hope they do something. Don't do something stupid because. Someone brought up the idea that, if they push the panic button, they may do something like package Gunnar Henderson and see what they can get for him. And I hope they don't do that because he's a favorite. Hey, man.
He's my favorite Oriole.
Yeah. And I really didn't want to see him get rid of Cedric Mullins. But, it is what it is. But for them to, I hope they don't panic. They've got some money. They can make some moves. I think they got to be bold.
Yeah.
I think they got to be bold. And we'll see what happens with them.
What about Trevor Rogers, man? What the hell happened to him, man? His ERA is like 6.6 something.
Yeah, and even when he came back, he was looking good there, and it makes you wonder, is he well or is he pushing himself back too soon?
Yeah, that could be
because sometimes with professional athletes, they want to get in there. And they will push the envelope sometimes when they're not ready. But it's show and tell time for him too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's Memorial Day. My grandfather, your father, he was a soldier, So we're just giving special shout outs to the Memorial Day, on Memorial Day to him and to all the soldiers out there that are fighting for their lives out here for America.
Yeah.
And bring my dad on because I wanted to bring him in and think about like how his fandom started from him being starting from Edgewood, right?
Yeah. Because your grandfather got out of the military in Aberdeen Proving Ground, and then he just he settled him and your grandmother. She came down from New York because she was living in New York City at that time, and. So she came down and got married. I think they got married in 1947.
Oh, okay.
And when he got out the military, they just stayed in Harford County in that area. We lived in Aberdeen. I remember when I was born in Haverty Grace, and I remember a very brief period of time we lived in Aberdeen, and then we moved to Edgewood. We lived in Edgewood for almost 10 years. But that's when when I was a little kid in Edgewood. That's when professional football, more precisely the Baltimore Colts, became part of my psyche. And
how age was this?
Oh man, well see, we're talking about 7, 8 years old. In '58, when they won their first world championship in the game that was called the greatest game ever played. And they were called that not because of the play on the field, which was a really good play on the field, but it was the greatest game ever played because that is the game that cemented the relationship between the NFL and the TV networks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But the NFL didn't come on every Sunday like they do now. You didn't have multiple games.
Oh, yeah?
As a matter of fact, I think back then the only thing that was on televised may have been the championship game. And when they had when that game went in that overtime and what they used to call back then sudden death, the nation was transfixed on professional football, and that set the roots. That set the foundation for the marriage between football and television.
Okay.
Which now the television contract is the cash cow of the NFL. You know, as we saw back in COVID when they had football games that they didn't have anybody there because of COVID. They played the games in empty stadiums. You say, how could they make money off of that?
Yeah,
it was
right.
Because of the TV
contract.
The TV contract guarantees that an NFL owner is not going to lose. He's not going to lose any money.
Right, right.
So, and all of that comes from the 1958 championship game between the Baltimore Colts and the New York Giants. Now I was already a fan of the Colts because my parents were Colts fans. Mm-hmm. But why? So the question is, if my parents were Colts fans, that would be a reason why I was. But why were my parents Colts fans? Because
right.
Well, let's talk about the Baltimore Colts. The Baltimore Colts did not originate in 1954, which, a lot of people say, well, the Colts came here in 1954. They were the old Dallas Texans from the old All-American Football Conference, because back in the 40s, there was another league that was competing with the NFL. It was called the All-American Football Conference. And there was a Baltimore Colts team in that league back in the 40s. And when the league folded, in 1949, the Baltimore Colts from that league came to the NFL and played 1 year in the NFL in 1950. But it folded because it wasn't, they had financial issues. Okay. They didn't have money. So they folded. Carroll Rosenblum bought the assets from the old Dallas Texans, which were a team that was in the old All-American Football Conference. He bought those assets and he brought them to Baltimore and named the team after the other teams that were called the Baltimore Colts. He named them the Baltimore Colts. So the Baltimore Colts, people think of the Baltimore Colts and they think it all began in '54. But you got to go back about another 10 years. Thinking, you got to go back in about another 10 years.
The roots of it.
And they played. They played. Where did they play? I can't remember where they played. But Memorial Stadium didn't have an upper deck on it back then. And when the Colts came, that's when they put the upper deck.
So it was kind of like a high school.
Well, it was a highfalutin public park. But what got black players? What got the black fans into the Baltimore Colts? And people don't talk about this guy anymore. But there was the Baltimore Colts, and even when they were in the old All-American Football Conference, had a black player, and his name was Claude Buddy Young.
Claude Buddy Young.
Yeah, everybody called him Buddy Young. Buddy Young was only 5'4".
5'4".
He was 5'4", was speedster, man.
Whoa.
When he was at the University of Illinois.
This was the leather helmets?
Yeah. When he was no face mask.
No face mask. They playing ball. That's called playing ball.
It was on.
Right. Right.
When Buddy played at the University of Illinois, he averaged 8.3 yards per carry.
They couldn't see him. Couldn't see him.
He tied. Everybody knows who Red Grange is. You may not remember all the specifics about Red Grange, but you knew Red Grange was a great football player. Well, Buddy Young, he tied Red Grange's records. When you don't hear about Buddy Young. So when the Colts folded from the old American Football League, he came with the friend. He went to with them to Dallas, and then he came with the franchise when Rosenblum bought him to Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
He came here, and in '54, he went to the Pro Bowl in 1955.
Damn.
He was the first black player, Baltimore Colt, that played in the Pro Bowl. Not only that, Buddy Young's he only played one season. He retired.
He played one season. Went to the Pro Bowl.
Tell you how bad he was. He played 1 year, retired, and they retired his number 22.
Damn.
He was the first player that the Baltimore Colts ever retired his number. Now,
one season.
Well, he went into the front office. He went into the Carl Rosenblum brought him into the front office. Okay, brought him into the front
office. He might retire his own number.
And he wanted to make money. Clark wanted to make, because he left the University of Illinois early because he said I had to support my family.
Right.
So the only thing when I thought about it is okay, he plays 1 year, he wins he goes to the Pro Bowl. And so he retires. They retire his number. The Colts hire him, public relations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets hired by the NFL. The NFL hired. He was the first African American hired by the National Football League to work in their executive offices. So nobody talks about Buddy Young, but Buddy Young was huge, man. When I was a kid, he was huge.
Dang.
The other thing that got us was when Lenny Moore came.
Lenny Moore's a legend in the town, man.
When Lenny Moore came in, what was that, 56, 55, 56, he was from Penn State. He was a big shot in Penn State. And everybody liked Penn State because, see, back in those days, players didn't wear them low top shoes. Everybody,
them black high top shoes.
But see, what Lenny used to do, he used to put white tape around the top of his shoes so it looked like he had slippers
so
on.
You can see him.
They used to call them spats.
Spats?
Some people call them Sputnik. After the Russian satellite, they called it Sputnik. Some people call them Sputnik. The thing about Lenny Moore, man, Johnny Unitas was the arm of the Baltimore Colts. Lenny Moore was the legs. He could play. You could put him in the backfield. You could put him out wide. You could put him. He's the one that developed the flanker position. Because he could be in the backfield. He could line up anywhere. He could line up in the backfield. He could line up out wide. He could line up between the tight end and the wide receiver. And the thing about Lenny Moore too is that everybody knows.
So he's like a combination of what, tight end, fullback.
He was a hybrid.
He was the first hybrid player.
He was a hybrid. He was a hybrid. And the thing about Lenny Moore that stands out, he had many games. If you ever get a chance, you can go on YouTube and look at a lot of times the films of old Johnny Unitas films, you'll see a lot of Lenny Moore. Lenny Moore made some fantastic catches. He was just a phenomenal football player. But the thing that stands out about Lenny Moore is Lenny Moore he had a record that stood for 40 years. That record was that Lenny Moore scored a touchdown in 18 consecutive games.
Damn.
Think about that.
Now
he's not a quarterback.
I bet you were betting back then. You can bet on that. He's gonna score.
He did that record in 1964. He started in 63 and it went through the whole season of 64. It stood for 40 years until Damian Thomas broke it in 2004.
Wow.
That record stood for 40 years, man.
I didn't know that.
And even now, you think about one player, not a quarterback, scoring in every game for 18 straight games.
That's insane.
You may never see that.
Yeah, you might never see that.
You may never see that.
Yeah, that's insane.
So, Buddy Young, and Lenny Moore not only grabbed the imagination of Baltimore Colts fans as a whole, but also particularly black, because Baltimore was a pretty segregated town. It didn't have segregation.
So where were like the blacks and where were like the whites?
Pennsylvania Avenue on the west side. Pennsylvania Avenue was the Mecca.
Okay.
Pennsylvania Avenue was the Mecca. And then on the east side, let's see, the east side you had.
It's still like Dundalk now, Highlandtown.
Dundalk and Highlandtown were white areas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the white.
And matter of fact, Baltimore was such a distant city. I tell people, I remember when you could go to Pimlico and Park Heights and there wasn't no black people up there.
Oh yeah,
there wasn't no black people in Park Heights.
Go there nowadays, you culture shock.
And so Lenny Moore and then the culture that's when they hit their stride. They were always they were one of the premier franchises of the National Football League because you had them, you had the Packers, you had the Baltimore Colts, the Green Bay Packers, the Bears sometimes. The Eagles were pretty much, the Eagles would show up sometimes.
Was the NFL kind of like pushing the Colts? Like,
the Colts were like, they were a money draw because everybody knew after that 58 championship game, the Colts and the NFL became more visible. It was, it became more accessible to the public. But back then, you had teams that were winners and you had teams that were losers. For instance, Pittsburgh Steelers was they were shit back then.
Yeah, I remember even when I was growing up, I remember them
Washington Redskins was nothing back then. If you wanted to sentence, if a guy made trouble for you and you wanted to sentence him somewhere, you wanted to punish him, trade him to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's how the Browns are now, like the Jets. So I was not even do the Browns, the Jets like now.
So it was, but the Colts were always one of the premier teams. They were in some. And Johnny Unitas was a phenom back then. You had Johnny Unitas.
So he was like the best quarterback of that generation. And Namath.
Well, no, you got he goes back before Namath. You got to go back. I think the contemporaries for Johnny when he was hitting his stride was like John Brody, and what's his name? And Philadelphia had Sonny Jurgensen.
Yeah,
a lot of people remember Sonny Jurgensen when he was with the Redskins, but he played for the Philadelphia Eagles before he played for the Redskins. You had John, but then you had the Packers had
Bart
Starr, and because the Packers were winning championships, and their primary rivals were the Colts. They had some. And then later, when the Dallas Cowboys finally got off the snide, because the Dallas Cowboys went a couple of years and didn't win a game. I think they lost 20-some games in a row before they actually became good. They came into the league in 1960. And then the AFL. And then when they came into
they weren't the original America's team.
No. As a matter of fact, they were bottom feeders for a long time.
Right.
But they forced the old Dallas Texans out of the NFL. And the AFL had a team before the Cowboys. The AFL had the old Dallas Texans in Dallas. But when the NFL put the Cowboys in Dallas, then the Texans left and went to Kansas City and became the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
So, it was a lot of moves. But getting back to our discussion, the Colts were attracted to, they did a lot of outreach to the black community. And we had some major stars. I mean, you had Lenny Moore, you had Jim Parker, you had John Mackey, you had...
I actually met Jim Parker.
Yeah, you had Big Daddy Lipskins.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Lipskins.
Yeah.
He died from a heroin overdose down on Pennsylvania Avenue.
God damn, stay off the avenue, man. Damn, still like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy surrounding his death because he owed some money and he was right-handed, but
betting on games.
But the marks on his arm was in his right arm, so people say somebody else shot him up, he was killed. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. So the Colts were, they were, and like I said, they made a lot of outreach to the black community. They were winners. When you're a winner, everybody loves you.
I ain't gonna lie, because I hear about your generation, everybody talk about the Colts back then, man. I'm like, man, y'all were used to winning, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the Raiders now, we're used to winning, but
it was accepted.
It's a winning town.
And then we had some knockdown dragouts with the Packers. As a matter of fact, there's one game when all of the quarterbacks for the Colts got hurt, and they took Tom Maddie, who was the running back, and let him quarterback the team in the playoffs. And we would have beaten, the Green Bay, when the Green Bay Packers went to, I think it was the first Super Bowl. I think we were in the championship game with the Packers, and some of those people you might remember specifically, but there was a championship game between the Colts and the Green Bay Packers, and it was said at that time that the NFL made a business decision. And what I mean by that is that the Colts were driving for the winning touchdown and got within field goal range and kicked the field goal. I mean, excuse me. The Green Bay Packers were driving for the winning field goal. The Colts were ahead, kicked the field goal in the last few seconds of the game that won the game, except when you see a film of the field goal was was no good.
It was no good.
It was no good. That's why when you wonder why the field goals go up so high now, it's because of that. Because of that kick. But the ball was, let's say the goalpost ended here, the ball was up here, and it was over here. So they didn't have the goalpost didn't go all the way up. So after that game, they raised the field.
I know a lot of games got called on that craziness, man.
And, you know, back in the NFL, man, back in those days, man, you know, it was pure mayhem.
Yeah,
it's controlled violence now.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things they did back in. Man, one of the things back in the old NFL, you better not run out of bounds on the opposing team's sideline.
You get hit.
You may not
make it
back. You may not
hit you with a bottle over on the sideline.
But we had some characters on our team. We had Johnny Sample, who was a bad boy. He was a defensive back, and he played for the Jets. And as a matter of fact, he was with the Jets when the Jets beat the Colts.
On the team, I have a quick question. Mm-hmm. On the team, who was like your star player as a child when you were coming up on the Colts? That was like your guy, your go-to favorite guy on the team.
Lenny Moore.
Lenny Moore.
Because for me, I was, I wanted to be a running back like a lot of kids.
Yeah, right. I wanted the ball in my hand.
But I prided myself in catching the ball. A lot of that came from, growing up in the Lenny Moore era. You wanted to be good at a number of things. You can't be good at running, be good at catching the ball. So I saw myself in Lenny Moore. I mean, other than Gale Sayers for the Chicago Bears, because in high school I wore number 40 in high school because of Gale Sayers. But from a Baltimore Colts standpoint, the player that I most identified with was Lenny Moore. And then John Mackey came along, and John Mackey just redefined the position of tight end. Because back in those days, the tight end was just a blocking. He was just an extension of the line.
Yeah, right.
But John Mackey came. He could catch. He could block. He could catch. He could run.
Who would you compare him to in a modern day player? So like for the younger people watching, who you compare Mackey to?
I don't know if there's anybody that has the complete pack because he ran with such power.
Oh, okay.
He ran with such power. When you look at old tapes of John Mackey, there's 2 and 3 people trying to bring him down, and he's still running.
I don't think I was that big. Maybe. Maybe Antonio Gates. Maybe.
Because Antonio Gates he's a big physical guy. He's a big physical guy, and that's what John was. John was a big physical guy. You couldn't bring him down by yourself. You had to gang tackle him. First man hit him was just to slow him down, hoping he gets.
Hold up, man! Bring in some reinforcements, man.
He gets
right.
But those were good days. The Colts were some good days, and I feel fortunate to have grown up at that. And those were magical times in Baltimore sports history.
Oh yeah, man. Y'all had a lot of memories, man. Back then.
Yeah. Cause mom and daddy had season tickets.
Oh yeah.
Not as many blacks had season tickets, and they would let me and your uncle go sometimes, and we went to. I think Tony and I went to about every home NFL Colt game. Because back in those days, they put 2,000 tickets on sale every game day, but you had to show up. But the window didn't open until 6
the will call.
You had to show up. The window opened at 6 o'clock, and by the time you got down there, if you didn't get down there about 4:30, 5 o'clock,
you're done.
Oh, you ain't getting one.
Yeah.
You ain't getting one. And then back those days, after the first quarter, you could just walk in there. You know what they should do?
Damn.
You know what they should do at Memorial Stadium in the 2-minute warning? In the 2-minute warning, fans could come out of the stands and go down on the field and stand around the field.
Oh man,
I would love that. Oh man, I remember going down on the field doing that 2-minute warning, and when they let fans would come down on the field and standing behind the Colt bench and looking at some of the Colt players. And I remember seeing Raymond Barry, because Raymond Barry. First of all, I didn't know Raymond Barry was that short. I thought he was
on TV.
He caught balls like he had, like he was a big man, because he didn't miss anything. If it hit his fingers, he was catching it. And
they say hit your hand.
I remember standing there and looking at him and saying to myself, I thought he was bigger than that. But back in those days, now you try to go down on the field nowadays, you going to jail, bro.
Yeah, man.
You go to jail. But
titties and some more.
Sherman Plunkett was another. He was an offensive lineman, black offensive lineman for the Colts. We had a lot. They had a guy named Hezekiah Braxton, and for some of the old folks who, like myself, who remember the Colts every year, the Colts used to have their spring training, their preseason workouts up in Westminster, up in Frederick County.
Oh,
that's where they used to have it up there. And so every year there was a black guy who was a wide receiver who was, man, he could catch it.
It was a straight up Washington Road?
Yeah, straight up. Yep.
20 mile, what they call it? 5 mile house, 20 mile house?
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
They had a guy named Hezekiah Braxton. And Hezekiah used to come out every year. He was on the team every year, and he could catch. He was, but he kept getting cut, and everybody would say, "Why they keep cutting Hezekiah Braxton?" First, and everybody, most of the black community was saying, "Well, maybe there's too many blacks on the team," but the word was that him and Unitas didn't get along because Hezekiah couldn't remember the plays.
Oh,
so
man. Pissing off Unitas, man.
Yeah, well,
get him out of there.
Yeah, and that's what happened when I think Unitas. That's what drove Don Shula out of town. Him and Unitas didn't get along because when Don Shula came here before he went to the Dolphins, Don Shula was the defensive back for the Colts, and then
I didn't know he played.
He played. He was a defensive back for the Colts.
That's news to me. I didn't know that.
And he when he became head coach, that was the era where quarterbacks back then used to call their own plays on the field.
Right.
Then the new era came, and coaches or the head coach, and then later the offensive coordinator was called and coaching plays on the sideline. And Unitas didn't like that. Unitas wanted to call the plays himself. He came up in there, and that's what he did. So when Don Shula came and started and put in a situation where he was calling the plays, they would send the player out on the field. And I remember reading this. They sent the player out on the field and to tell Unitas what play to call. Unitas would say, "I ain't running that."
Yeah, right.
He'd run what he wanted to. So him and Don Shula clash. And then what the straw that broke the camel's back was Super Bowl III. When they lost Super Bowl III, they were 18-point favorites. Can you imagine that? That will never happen again. You'll never see a betting line that has somebody 18-point favorite, and they lost.
I remember the only thing I think probably was close, maybe that undefeated team the Patriots had, that 07.
Oh yeah.
But so Johnny Unitas was kind of like back then was like a Peyton Manning was.
Well, he wasn't. Well, you got to remember.
It's like Peyton Manning called what the hell he wanted to do.
There's some quarterbacks who in certain situations they'll let him call. I think, but for most quarterbacks nowadays, maybe what's his name with the Patriots?
Brady.
Brady may have called a lot of his plays.
Yeah.
But most quarterbacks in the NFL now, that's why they have that. That's why they have that. The microphone, or not the microphone, but the hearing thing in their helmets. It's because they're telling them what play to run.
Yeah. Right.
So the game changed, and in many ways, the Colts didn't keep up with the change in the game, and then. Of course, when Robert Irsay came, everything kind of went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, when it was good, it was really good. And the black
Irsay's not a good name in Baltimore.
No. And, people it was a setup. I tell people it was a setup because Irsay became and I think I've said this on the show before. Irsay became an NFL owner when he agreed to buy the Los Angeles Rams and trade them for the Baltimore Colts. Now, who does that?
Yeah, that's crazy work.
That's who does that. See, the NFL wanted to get Carroll Rosenbloom, who owned the Colts in L.A., because the L.A. Rams were in L.A. and they were floundering. They never, they would never reach their full potential. Carroll Rosenbloom had brought this team that had failed and brought it to Baltimore and made it one of the top teams in the NFL. So they wanted his touch in L.A.
Okay.
So when Irsay, that's the only reason why they let him become an owner. Because he was the only one dumb enough to do that.
Stupid.
He said, hey, we want you to buy the Los Angeles Rams. You're going to trade him. Why would you trade the number 2 TV market in the country for the number 11 team.
Right.
And I think he came to Baltimore with the idea that he was going to move that team eventually. I mean, he was from Indianapolis. He made his money off the Mayflower, van line, which was based in Indianapolis. I mean, the writing was.
That's how the hell they moved us out.
But getting back to the glory days, the good days. When it was good, it was very, very good. Baltimore was a great town to be a kid in.
I could imagine, man.
Then
y'all had both teams.
It's for sports.
I think back then y'all probably had the Bullets coming around.
Well, the Bullets came. The Bullets used to be the Bullets used to be the Chicago Zephyrs of the NBA, and then they moved to Baltimore in the early '60s. I can't remember the exact date now, and became the Bullets. And then the NBA I think it was one of those situations where the city of Chicago couldn't get along with the owner. The owner's demands for the Zephyrs was they couldn't come to terms.
Right.
So he moved. Just like the same thing with the Oklahoma City
Thunder
now. The Oklahoma City of the old Seattle
Sonics.
And then they couldn't come to agreement with a new arena and all that. So the owner said, "Well, okay, I'll take my team and I'll move."
Pack them up.
But anyway,
somebody pay.
It was the Colts, and seeing them growing up in Ashburn, we had a lot of Colts and black Colts and Orioles that lived in the area. Frank Robinson lived across.
And this is the city, the inner city of Baltimore.
Lenny Moore lived down there on Yosemite Avenue, which you could walk around.
Unless
he lived 4 or 5 doors up from unless
That's
so
crazy.
it was the players lived among the masses back then.
Right.
It's not like today where players go out in the hinterland, in big homes, and you don't,
no physical contact with the fans.
It wasn't like
y'all had more it was like a family type of feel with the players and the Colts players. It seemed like y'all had like a family. Like I can see this guy, I can see him in the store, I can see him down the street cutting his grass or whatever.
Absolutely. Lenny Moore,
that had to been awesome.
Lenny Moore had that the nightclub, and John Mackey had a burger joint down in Dole-Field. Lenny had Sportsman's Lounge up on One Oak Avenue. And then of course Jim Parker had Parker's Liquor. He had Parker's Liquor up on Liberty.
That's where I met him at. A little boy, that's where I met him at. Jim Parker, he's a big dude, man.
He was big country
dude, man. Everybody, you want to find that Jim Parker.
It was a good time to be a kid, man. It was a good time to be a kid, and I imagine it's the same way now with the Ravens. Because one thing that the Ravens do, they do a lot of community stuff. They're visible.
They do. They are visible.
They're visible, and that means a lot for a little kid growing up today, and not only having heroes, being able to see their heroes.
I ran into a couple of Ravens up here at the shopping center up here in Orange Mills. Just in the market, the Giant. I done seen Michael Pierce in there. I've seen a couple of Ravens just in the market.
And that means a lot to a community.
Yeah, it means a lot, man.
Especially for young people.
Because in Baltimore, we rarely care about what's going on with our Ravens, man. I mean, like, we really care, man.
Yeah.
Like,
it
gets crazy sometimes we care so much. Man. You know what I mean?
Somebody, when they lose on Sunday,
Monday, you like, I'm calling out. I'm not going to work today.
That's right.
I don't want to hear none of that shit at the job today. But especially with these Steelers fans that's from Baltimore, that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story.
You know what I'm saying?
But you got folks like that. Just like you got Cowboy fans.
There's
certain people who get off on being
against
where
you're from.
Yeah.
I can never understand that. It really pisses me off a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
where they count on.
A lot of these people, I know, a lot of these people you Cowboy fans in Baltimore never been to Dallas. People that Pittsburgh fans in Baltimore never been to Pittsburgh, never been to a game in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's in New Jersey.
Just because y'all like the Ravens, I like the other one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
you always gonna have sports fans like that.
Yeah.
They just want to go the other direction. And God bless them.
Yeah, but I'd like to appreciate you again for coming
Oh,
on.
man, it's always a
Man,
pleasure.
it's always a pleasure when you come
pleasure,
on, man.
bro.
You always dropping
Yeah.
historic knowledge, man. A lot of things
Yeah.
that people don't know, man. I really appreciate you for
We're
coming
gonna,
on.
we're gonna do the Negro Baseball League too.
I would love to do
We're
that.
gonna do
I would
that.
love to do that because a lot of people that needs to be known.
That's coming up.
That needs to be known,
Yeah,
man. That's
that's
a lot of
coming
that. It's a lot of good information on the Negro League that y'all need to know. And I got a book that you actually brought me, so I'll be more abreast of what's going on too.
Man.
I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, because the Baltimore Elite Giants played right there at Green Mountain, 28th Street.
Damn.
That's where Oriole Park was. Then you got Oriole Park downtown.
Downtown.
Oriole Park used to be
on
Green
Mountain.
Mountain. You know that shopping center there?
Yeah.
28th Street.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking
That's
about.
where Oriole Park was.
That's crazy.
We'll talk,
crazy.
but that's coming.
We'll get to that, y'all. But I'd like to thank y'all for coming out for another episode of Baltimore Blitz with your host, Big Scummy, with special guest, Mr. Tyrone, my dad. And I really appreciate you guys for coming through. We'll see y'all soon. I'll see you next week, baby. Peace.
All right, man.
Yeah, I love it, man.
That was
Good stuff,
That was
man.
good.